All right, sure. Karthik has told I'm audible. Okay, got it. Okay, guys, let's start. I think you guys know what this session is about. You would have already read the description. It's a pretty straightforward session. We are just going to look at the roadmap or the certifications which are available and what you can take up. For example, the one question you would have is what AWS certification would be the right certification for me with my specific set of skills or specific set of expectations. All right, that I will be covering in this session. So again, I'll just brush through why AWS and steps to learn AWS I'll ignore because it's my way of learning. I'll just give you a brief again. You can start with that. And then we'll be looking into majorly three main certifications which you can take up in AWS. All right. Okay. So now coming to why AWS. So first is that AWS has businesses in 190 plus countries. So if this is the case, whatever country you are in, you can get a job in AWS. All right, so that's the benefit I'm talking about here. And the second thing, there are more than 1 million active users. This is just a statement that is AWS has a lot of users and it's quite popular. And there are major companies using AWS for their own cloud needs. And if you want to get into those major companies as a cloud engineer or a cloud related job, then in that case, yes, learning AWS would be a great choice. And finally, there are 170 plus services. So this directly says that you don't have to learn all the AWS services available. You will just have to learn the services which are under your niche. All right. So that basically means that, let's say, if your specialization is big data, you don't have to learn all AWS services. You'll only have to learn the services which are under the big data domain. For example, there is there is EMR, which is Elastic MapReduce, and there is Athena, and there is QuickSight. So these tools directly involve big data. So you can learn the tools which are required for your niche. If you're into big data, you can learn the cloud tools required for that. If you're into data science, you can learn the cloud tools for that. If you want to completely get into solutions architecture, in that case you can learn the services just for that. It's not required that you'll have to learn all AWS services. You'll only have to learn the AWS services which are required for that particular certification or for that particular role you're going to take up. All right. Okay, so there is a question here from Shuka. RDS, yes, I think what you mean is what is RDS, or yeah, so RDS is also a service. Yeah, there is DynamoDB, there is Redshift. There are so many tools for data in AWS. You can basically learn all of them if you want to. So what I'm suggesting here is that it doesn't have to be only a cloud person who knows just cloud can get into this. You can get into cloud from any domain, from data science, from big data, from a software developer. So whatever role it is, you can still get into cloud because they have all kinds of services and it will help all kinds of professions. All right, so this is why. And one more is AWS is dominating the cloud market. They are the #1 public cloud provider. So again, this uh, states that again, AWS is the #1 and many companies use AWS, and directly that leads to more jobs. So in the right side, you can see I've linked some of the job portals, and as I checked under just the solutions architect domain, so there were more than 7,500 jobs. All right, so basically what I'm trying to say here is, as AWS is the #1 cloud tool and there are so many companies who are using AWS for their needs, so because of that, there are an abundance of jobs in AWS. The only thing is that there are not enough people with enough cloud skills to get into these jobs. So there are an abundance of cloud jobs. There are cloud jobs always available, but with the right skills, you can get into it. There is a question from Suresh, which one is better, AWS or Azure? So we are in an AWS session, so I would say AWS, but as also I am more proficient in AWS than Azure. But one thing is that if you're into native application development, if you're more concentrated on C# and .NET, I would suggest Azure. If it's just plain cloud, then AWS would be the better option. Okay, there is one more question from Shivakarth again. After this, the questions which are coming in. I'll answer at the end once I complete my part, so that it will have a smooth flow. I'll complete all the things I have to say, then I'll answer one by one. So now, from Sugar, I heard that Azure is better than AWS in security wise. Is that the true statement? No, it depends again. So security, when you consider security in cloud, there is something called the shared responsibility model. So shared responsibility model comes in both AWS and Azure. So they basically state that half of the responsibility or some of the responsibility is Azure and AWS's responsibility. The rest is the person who's using them. That is the user, the customer, you or me. All right. So let's say I create an AWS server and I make that server public, and basically I don't provide any security key or a really easy password which could be brute forced, something like that. So basically you shouldn't let vulnerability from your side which can cause some troubles. So the part of security, when it comes to cloud, the part of security which AWS and Azure concentrates on is the data center security, and also the applications that they're providing, right? The software and that security. The rest, whatever you're using, whatever you're creating, that part should be handled by you with the help of AWS services. So it totally depends on you. Whatever you may use AWS, you may use Azure, but if you do not stick to the security best practices, there might be a problem, and you might be the cause of a security issue. All right, so it totally depends. It's not like Azure is better, AWS is better, because there are so many different tools which you'll have to compare to come to that particular point. Also, you cannot say AWS is better than Azure or Azure is better than AWS, because they provide similar services. You can state according to costs, costing according to the pricing, but again, even then they are very, very similar. Okay, one last point on why AWS is major companies like Netflix, Reddit, Salesforce, Twitch, Pinterest, they all use AWS for their cloud needs. And if you want to get into if you want to get into Netflix or Reddit or Twitch, so if you want to get into these companies as a cloud engineer or a DevOps engineer, in that case, learning AWS would be a great addition. All right. Okay, so one last thing which is really important is that everybody looks into this whenever we are looking for a job or getting into a job. So the salary for that particular role, right? So I took this from Glassdoor, and in US it's $122,000 per annum, and in India it's 7.3 lakhs per annum. So this is the average salary. The highest I've seen was 25 lakhs per annum provided in Glassdoor itself. Yeah, so this is the data I got from Glassdoor, and these are some of the data which I am showing here. All right. Okay, so now I think that is the why part. Now coming to steps to learn. So this is the way I learned. I'll just give you a brief through, and let's go on to the main part of the session, the certifications. So first, learn the cloud basics, cloud fundamentals, and learn the networking fundamentals. Let me give you some examples. Coming to cloud fundamentals, it's basically what is cloud computing, how it works. Second, the deployment models, the service models. What else? Yeah, these are the very, very basic stuff. And coming to networking fundamentals, please learn what is an IP address first of all, and learn about CIDR notations, and learn about basic protocols like HTTP, HTTPS, SSH. Uh, what else can we say? SSH and basically TCP/IP protocols, and then what are port numbers and why do we provide port numbers in like why do we use port numbers? For example, if it is HTTP, the port number would be 80 in most cases. So why is that? So learn these basic things because it will help you while you're learning AWS. Because if you're launching a server, that server will have a public IP address, it will have a private IP address, and then in that case, you might not know what is a public and a private IP address. So learn these very, very basic things. It'll help you while learning AWS. So once this is done, you can start with the AWS part. and you can start learning AWS. You can learn the services required under that particular certification. All right. So once that is done, before taking up the examination, go through the exam guide and go through the white papers, which are completely theoretical, which will give you a better understanding of the AWS infrastructure, because white papers are given by AWS themselves. For example, one of the white paper would be security best practices. One would be just best practices on all AWS services. So they are basically theoretical concepts which you'll have to understand well. So this is the step I would suggest to learn. Okay, so now this is how I did, and you can also do that in your case. Uh, or you can just directly go ahead with learning AWS. And while learning AWS, you can learn the basic networking fundamentals side by side, which will help you at that particular time. So you can do that as well. And yeah, so now coming to the certification path, the three certifications which I'm going to talk right now are the associate certifications. One is the Solutions Architect, one is the Sysops Administrator, and the final one is the AWS Certified Developer. Right? These are the associate certifications. These are, let's say, beginner certifications, I would say, rather than the foundational one. Foundational one is the beginner certification according to AWS, but again, there is no prerequisite for you to first take up the cloud practitioner certification and only then you can take up associate. There is no such rule. You can directly take up the associate certifications even before you take up the cloud practitioner one. All right. So now looking into these three individually. So let's start from Solutions Architect. So, and one more thing I wanted to introduce you here is the exam details. So for an associate examination, it will cost you 150 USD. And so delivery method, you can say it is as a testing center, but due to the pandemic and all the lockdowns, right now you can also take it online. So right now you have an option of taking it to the testing center or taking it up online. So you can take it from the comfort of your home. All right. Okay. So now the associate certifications are the things which we are going to look at one by one. But let me give you a brush about professional and specialty as well. Professional certifications are the one you can take up once you've completed the associate certification or once you have enough experience in the IT industry, and then you can directly take up the professional ones, because professional certifications are really tough, like 10 times or 5 times more tougher than the associate ones, because it'll be more, what to say, it will be more application wise. You should have some experience, only then you can clear the professional certifications. So I would suggest to not take professional certification directly, even if you have enough experience. Take the associate certification. Once cleared, then go ahead with the professional. Okay, so now coming to specialty certifications again, if you are into networking and you want to get into advanced networking and cloud, again, you can take that particular specialty certification. And coming to if you are already a security engineer, a cloud security engineer, again, you can take up the AWS Certified Security certification. So according to your skill sets, you can choose the specialty certification, and there, what is that? The difficulty level would be similar to the professional certifications in specialty case. All right, so this is the brush up about these two. Now let's look at them one by one. Okay, so now first I will introduce you who can take up these certifications, and then I'll explain it further. So first there is AWS Certified Solutions Architect, and there is AWS Certified Sysops Admin, and then there is AWS Certified Developer. So now looking at Solutions Architect, I'll tell who can take up the Solutions Architect certification. So the first thing is that obviously you should have cloud expertise. You should obviously learn cloud. So in this case, it will be considering more about the architectures. That is, you should be able to create a complete cloud architecture with a given requirement. And you should also make sure that architecture is abiding the company's best practices. You should also make sure the architecture is cost optimized. That is, in whatever case, you'll only get the limit would be the budget. So every company will have a budget for cloud, and the architecture's cost should not exceed the budget. Third, you should make sure that is high performing and highly available and also secure. This basically means that the architectures you are creating should be secure enough that no unauthorized access occurs, and also it is highly available. That basically means the architecture never goes down. There is always a backup plan, there is always a failover, there is always a recovery plan. And yeah, so this is the cloud part of solutions architect. Second, you're going to create architectures for applications which are going to be hosted on the AWS cloud. It can be data applications. Most applications are data applications. It can be through and through data flow, data applications, or it can be a website. It can be any application which is going to be hosted on AWS cloud. So in that case, you should have at least knowledge of one high-level programming language. It can be Python, it can be Java, it can be C Sharp, but knowledge of one high-level programming language for a solutions architect job is really important. You may not be asked that many questions in the examination itself. You won't be asked programming questions. Don't worry, it will be completely multiple choice, multiple answer questions. There won't be any programming questions. But once you complete the certification, your goal would be to get into a job. So while you're getting into a job, if you do not have any experience in the in one high-level programming language, let's say Python or Java, in that case, that would be a problem. All right. So as a solutions architect, you should have an idea of one programming language, one high-level programming language, right? Okay. So now, why you would ask, why should I know a programming language for a cloud role in this case? The why is that you'll be hosting a complete application on the AWS architecture which you are creating. So in that case, you should have an idea of how the software development lifecycle works, how the developers have created the application, so that you can create the exact same architecture which is running in the local on the AWS cloud. Okay, so this is for solutions architect. So if you know cloud and if you have an idea about one high-level programming language, and also you should have some expertise in Linux and what else? Yeah, so basically this. And if you have this, you can get into, I would suggest solutions architect would be the right one for you. But if you do not have this, you can still learn them, so do not worry. I'm just stating that for a solutions architect job, these are the things which are required. You should have cloud expertise, which is AWS. Second, you should have one high-level programming language knowledge. Third would be, what did I say? I totally forgot. Okay, so third would be there is one more thing which is scripting. So you should know basic scripting on Linux. Yeah, so I told Linux. So fourth would be Linux, because Linux is 90% of the cloud servers run on Linux, and thus learning Linux would be a big benefit in cloud. Okay, this is solutions architect. Now coming to Sysops administrator. Let's say you are not interested in programming and you don't want to associate yourself with a job which involves programming. So in this case, the Sysops administrator role would be the right role for you in cloud. So why? Because Sysops administrator job is basically a cloud administrator job, or it can be called as, let's say, an IT administrator job, but for the cloud. So in this case, what you would be doing is you would be monitoring the complete AWS architectures which are available. You will be monitoring the individual services. You'll be monitoring complete architectures. And while you're monitoring these services, you would be reporting back to the development or the architect team. You will make sure that all the services are running properly, all the resources are properly available, all the resources are only the needed resources should be running, the rest should be terminated or stopped. You should keep track of API usage, that is, who is logging into the account, who created a particular service, and if it's not required, you should initiate the termination of that particular services. So it will be more of a monitoring role, and also you should have cloud expertise. Only then you can monitor and understand what exactly is going on, right? And one more thing in this case would be migrating. That is, there might be already an application architecture which is available in the local system, in a legacy system. So you should be able to migrate that particular architecture into the AWS cloud, and you should be able to migrate the workload of that applications in an on-premises system into the AWS cloud. All right. So in this case, you don't need programming knowledge. You just need knowledge of AWS and you need knowledge of Linux, because as an administrator, obviously you would be completely working on Linux. You should know Linux commands. So the basics of Linux is more than enough at the beginning. Later you can skill up yourself. All right. Okay. So now this certification is right for a person who doesn't want to involve in programming but wants to get into cloud. So it's completely cloud. There is no need for programming knowledge. And yeah, so you should know Linux as well, because you will be monitoring, and to monitor you will be creating certain cron jobs, which are scheduled tasks which will occur. Okay, so this is for people who don't want programming language or programming knowledge, and people who just want cloud. So I would suggest the Sysops Administrator. And finally, so even here you can see the questions asked in this domain would mostly be from the monitoring and reporting domain. That is, most of the questions would be from the monitoring services and the reporting services part. So this is what I was telling here. And in this case, you can see the most questions would be from design resilient architectures. So this involves all the AWS services which are involved to create a complete AWS architecture. Okay, so now coming to the final certification, which is AWS Certified Developer. So in this case, you should be a developer. So that's the title itself. You should be a software developer. You should be an application developer, as well as you should learn the cloud services, which will help you to basically deploy those services, deploy those applications you have created. So if you see in this at the bottom, so domain 3 development with AWS services, 30%. So most of the questions will be from development part in AWS services. And yeah, so what will be required in this case is you're talented or you have skill in creating applications. It can be web applications, mobile applications. That totally depends on the company you will be working for. But you should have you should be a developer, and as with that, you should also be proficient with the AWS services and AWS architecture. And the final thing, the important thing in this particular certification would be you should learn the developer services which are provided in AWS. For example, the AWS CLI, the AWS SDK for Java or PHP or Python, whichever language you're going to program your application in. All right. So you should know the software development kits, and you should know how to deploy those applications into the AWS cloud. You should know what else? CLI, there is SDKs. Yeah, so other than that, you should also know the other AWS services, for example, EC2 or Elastic Beanstalk. So these services also required in this case. So for the certified developer certification, I would suggest people who have development experience or want to get into people who are already developers, or people who want to become a developer but also get into cloud. So in that case, I would suggest you the certified developer certification. Right, I think I've covered these 3 certifications as of now. So now let me just end up my part and answer some of your questions. So I think I've cleared who can take up which certification. And I think that is the start of your AWS career. Okay, so now one more thing I wanted to say is if you want to start learning AWS, you can just visit intellipaat.com/blog, or you can go to YouTube and check out Intellipaat's channel. We have free AWS content over there, and you can check it out. And it consists of all the things you'll have to learn, all the basics about AWS you'll have to learn is available over there, and that would be the right place to start for you. Okay, so now let me just answer some of the questions, and then I'll be handing over my session to my colleague, and he'll be concentrating more on the AWS training itself and explaining you more about what will be covered and what are the concepts required for you to learn. All right, I'll answer. There are around 5 questions. I'll answer all of them, and I'll be moving on. Okay, from Shivakarthikeyan. So first question is GCP cost optimization. It'll automatically intimate AWS recommend a suggestion like that. Yes, so AWS has a billing console. It'll provide you recommendations, but not completely suggestions. That is, you can directly incorporate it. It doesn't do that like that. It provides you recommendations, but the control is in your hand. You should basically make those changes. One more question from Shivakarthikeyan itself. What is CIDR? So they are, for example, side annotations are basically, for example, if you take an IP address, you will have something like 192.168.0.1 slash a particular subnet mask. It would be 16 or 20. So in that case, you should understand how this IP address forms, what this IP address is talking about, why this IP address has this particular number with a different subnet mask. So learning that is, so that is basically the cider part in IP addresses. Okay, now coming to Rohit Sharma's question, working as a system engineer and you want to change your current role. So I'll leave this question and I'll move on to the next because it will be answered by my colleague while he is taking the session itself. So do not worry. From Suresh, should we require any experience for better career after certification? No. So if you already have experience and if you get the certification, I don't think you need extra experience to get into those roles. And again, this on this it will be again covered by my colleague. So from Sunit, which are all the languages which are recommended? I would suggest Java or Python. They are the most popular and most demanded languages. Again from Suresh, solutions architect or sysops admin, which is better for career. As I explained again, if you know programming languages, go into solutions architect. If you don't want to associate yourself with programming languages at all, sysops admin is the right certification. Last two questions. From Shankaragiri, without real-time experience, one can be a solutions architect. So this is what my colleague will be covering right now. He'll be explaining without real-time experience how you can become a solutions architect by explaining the training. And finally, the last question is: does this certification is this certification enough for a fresher to get a job? Also, how many interviews are there? Okay, so this again, as I told you, will be covered now. Okay, guys. So that's all from my part. So thank you for attending the session. So now my colleague will be joining, who is a senior course advisor, and he'll continue now. Thank you so much, guys.
Guys, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, you're audible.
Perfect. So hi guys, my name is Charles Christopher. Well, I'm an advisor and a career counselor. I've been doing this for over 13 years now. So I'm going to take you through the complete program, explain you what kind of programs an architect should take, what kind of programs a developer or a person who is comfortable with programming language should go, and I'll also show you a couple of programs which comes with a job interview guaranteed as well. So any questions will definitely be answered. Don't worry about it. So here we are on the Intellipaat homepage. All I'm doing is typing in AWS, for instance. I'm not going through this AWS Solution Socketed, which is an individual course, because realistically, that is not at all sufficient for one to land a career. You go through any job openings, guys, they'll be asking certain tools in DevOps, certain Linux, AWS, and Python. So SQL. So what we have to understand is, even though you're applying for any cloud role, just a cloud technology is not at all enough or sufficient. You will be asked a scripting or programming language like Java, Python, Linux. You'll be asked SQL. You'll be asked DevOps. So that is the truth and reality. Now, anybody getting into cloud should know DevOps, or whoever gets into DevOps should know cloud. They're like husband and wife. So without having a DevOps as a skill set, it's really impossible for one to land a career. So having said that, DevOps, you'll not be undergoing the complete DevOps, because many people think DevOps is equal to for developers. That's totally wrong. Now, DevOps has about 119 tools in total, but only 9 to 10 tools are actively used in the market. Out of these 9 to 10 tools, couple of tools are used by developers, couple by architects, couple by testers, couple by operations, couple by quality. So depending upon if you're from a non-programming background, you will not be used those tools in DevOps which developers use. So moving further, let's take a look at this program. Now, this is called as a multi-cloud program. Now, 90% of the companies, they purely work on projects. Let's say you're working on AWS. What if the project requirement moves to Azure? No company is going to let go of project which is worth a lot of money. And that point in time, the company is not going to hire a new team leader, program manager, product director. No. They expect their current employees only to upgrade their skill set. That is the hard truth or the reality. So that is the reason I would straight away recommend anybody to go with a multi-cloud. This has AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. These are the top 3 clouds in the market, along with DevOps and Python. These are the 5 programs with live instructor. Java, Linux, Splunk, Azure Architecture, Hadoop, and Agile. These are self-learning. Like I told you, even in job openings or any job description, you will be asked certain Java or Python, Linux mandatorily, certain tools from Splunk and Hadoop. If you're from PMP background, you'll be asked Agile as well. Now, we are the only company to offer you a lifetime access, guys. There is no expiration. You can attend unlimited classes. You can retake as many batches as you want. Nobody's going to stop you or question you. So whenever you have any questions, you're free to ask the instructor. Instructor is going to answer to you. Live recorded videos of your own classroom is also added to your account for your reference. So it's humanly impossible for you to remember what happened during the classes. So you just need to watch your own recorded videos for you to brush up. Okay. So I have a question here. What is Hadoop? Well, Hadoop is, an open source software, to be precise, that is going to facilitate using a network of many computers and also to solve problems involving massive amount of data. So one thing we need to understand is Hadoop is mandatory for any industry vertical, for any companies who has a lot of database. To give you a small example, e-commerce or BFSI industry or logistics. So that means these companies are working on a huge amount of data. So it's used for storage, it's used for processing the database, using for data modeling or program modeling. That is what Hadoop is. What is job assistance? I will come to that. Now let's check out the content. So here we are, AWS. Introduction to cloud computing in AWS. You'll be literally introduced to the topic from the very basic to advanced step by step. So what is cloud computing? Whether you are a beginner, whether you're a college student, whether you are a professional, doesn't matter. The content is going to literally start from the very basic to advanced step by step. One thing we notice something interesting is hands-on exercise. Someone asked me, what about hands-on exercise? Here you go. So these are the hands-on exercises. So this is a fact that this is purely going to be a practical learning, not any sort of theoretical lectures or presentations. Because let's understand something, guys. Nobody's going to ask you what is Aurora DB cluster in the interview. They're going to ask you when you deploy an Aurora DB cluster, what are the challenges you faced and how did you overcome those challenges? So in order to answer such technical questions, you should have a hands-on exercises or experience yourself. So when you work on these hands-on exercises is when you'll be in a position to answer those technical questions, phrasing your own sentences. Now, every module has hands-on exercises, guys. And this is what is ideally going to help you become proficient with the technology or help you land a job or help you clear the interviews during the technical round. AWS projects covered. Now, these are the real-time industry projects that you're going to have a hands-on experiences on. So this is also going to go on your resume, and during the interview, you can definitely tell that you worked on these projects as a freelancer. Because remember, every company is looking for experienced professional, but that doesn't mean they're looking for a person who has experience from ANZ or Accenture or IBM, Microsoft. Nobody cares which company you work. They're talking about hands-on exercise, hands-on experience. So all these projects literally acts as a hands-on experience. So you can definitely tell that you worked on these projects as a freelancer. How are they going to believe you? They're going to start asking you questions based on the project that you claim that you've completed. Because you completed these projects by yourself, you can definitely overcome the objections or overcome those questions asked during the interview. Now, all the programs, guys, are literally from the very basic to advanced step by step with hands-on exercises and real-time projects. So my point being, we don't teach you, we train you. Ideally, whatever is expected out of industry for one to have, we are going to make sure that you're trained thoroughly in a practical manner. Now, moving further, you also see project work here. You'll be practicing from the beginner project, moving into intermediate and slowly going into advanced. So this is a proper step-by-step comprehensive program. Now, these are all the list of exams. The course itself is designed or aligned for you to clear. Now, many people ask me this question, is certification going to help me get a job? The answer is both yes and no. Why? Yes, because having a certification is an add-on on your resume. The more impressive your resume is, the highest number of interviews you can line up. Now, 50% of the companies these days, they prefer hiring a certified professional. In the job description, they would have mentioned specifically we're looking for someone who has completed the certification exam. So that is what is an advantage. But job is purely guaranteed based on how well an individual performs in the interview, how well your technical skills are. So job is guaranteed literally based on your technical skill set and how well you perform. And again, certification comes into picture when it comes to salary negotiations. A certified professional always gets a better salary compared to a non-certified professional. So we prepare you for certification exam as well by giving you a mock quiz. All you have to do is complete the course. Let's say you completed Solutions Architect. Before you pay the examination fee directly to Amazon and take the exam, take our quiz, score 60%. That means you can easily clear the certification exam in just one attempt. So for all these exams, we are going to provide you a mock quiz and prepare you for that. Now, this is a course completion certificate given by Intellipaat, acknowledged by IBM. Now, this is a course completion certificate issued by Intellipaat, acknowledged by Microsoft Partner Network. So these are the two course completion certificates, guys. Even this is going to go on your LinkedIn or on your resume. Can we customize tools for training, like adding tools like Redis, Kafka, Druid, Flink job? Yes, it depends upon one job position to another. Example, if your job requirement or if you come from these backgrounds, this is definitely going to be an add-on on your resume. So people who come from PMP or networking or security, they're all getting into cloud for one reason, because everybody knows for a fact cloud is the future. Everything is done on cloud. From developing a software to deploying a website or monitoring, everything is on cloud because it's easy. It saves a lot of money to a company and saves a lot of real estate. Instead of having huge servers, everything is on cloud. So without real-time, one can be a solutions architect. Without real-time experience, can one be a solutions architect? No, this is, see, when you call yourself as a solutions architect, a certification is just going to be on writing that you are a solutions architect. But let's talk about the reality. Nobody cares during the interview, the technical round, whether you're certified or not. All they care about is, do you have the technical skill set what a solutions architect would have or should have? So these projects, that is where these projects are going to come into picture. So once you complete these projects is when you are qualified to call yourself as a solutions architect, because certification requires a theoretical knowledge. But let's be real. During the interview, nobody cares about your certification. They care about your technical experience, technical skill sets. So these are the real-time industry projects that you should have or one should have to land a career in whichever domain it might be. Whether it's cloud or data science or Salesforce or BI tool, hands-on experience is mandatory. The real-time industry experience. That's what I'm trying to explain here. Now, the job assistance, guys, works in 3 steps. Step 1 is we are going to rework on your resume. We're going to make sure your resume looks more presentable. Step 2 is we are going to prepare you for the interview with the list of mock question and answers. So even before you attend the interview, you have a firm understanding of what sort of questions you might come across before attending the interview. And the final step is, like you see, we have 500 plus hiring partners. Apart from you marketing a resume on open source platform like LinkedIn or Times or Indeed, you can also market your resume on Intellipaat job portal. So possibilities of lining up interviews literally increases. So I have a question here. Are we having a playground training over here so we can get hands-on experience like Cloud or Udemy? So let's be very honest here. More than 70% of our existing students have wasted time on Udemy because they're cheap. If they have fulfilled their objective on Udemy, why would they reach out to Intellipaat? Because Udemy is a PowerPoint presentations and boring lectures. It's not a practical learning platform. Everybody knows about it. So if you're willing to risk and waste your time, you can give it a try. But if you're looking to get trained, which is actually required for one to land a career, you're in the right job. Because we don't teach you, we train you. All our instructors are not presenters or institute trainers. Each and every one of them are working professionals, certified architects who works for the top tier MNCs with 15 plus years of experience in IT. So the cloud training or AWS in specific, he's currently working as a solutions architect for more than 6 years, 7 years, with over 15 years of experience in IT. So he will be the one to train you, not teach you. So let's go further. Now, we are in business for more than 7 years, guys, with over 700,000 learners over the globe. catering to 55 different countries, majorly focusing India, Europe, US, and Northern America. And we are the only company to offer you lifetime access, like I told you. So totally interactive. Any questions will be definitely answered. So whatever I've been promising, it's on the writing on the website. One-on-one doubt resolution sessions, attend as many batches for lifetime. Flexible schedule because we have both weekday and weekend batches. So this is 999. If you're in India, you can check the INR. It's the same price, but you'll have 18% GST. When you add GST, it's going to be the same price. So website offers 10%. If you're interested in 50% discount, you can WhatsApp me on either of my numbers. Either the US WhatsApp number or Indian WhatsApp number, you get a flat 50% discount purely on a first come first serve basis. I just have 2 coupons, which is purely on a first come first serve basis, guys. So if you reach out to me pretty late, I'm really sorry I cannot help you out with it. Now, let's understand something. Cloud is the most demanded, jobs required in the market. So finding a job is not at all difficult, but clearing one or landing an interview is what takes time because you're not there yet. What is actually required or asked from an individual company or required from the market. So if you are looking to get trained, no matter what kind of background you come from, 95% of the cloud servers are run on Linux. So having a basic understanding of Linux is definitely an added advantage, or I would say rather mandatory. Basic understanding. You need not become an expert in Linux, so don't worry about it. So we provide you the self-paced for free. So go for online. Not only you get 50% discount, but you get the self-paced absolutely for free. So these are all the list of self-paced courses you get for free. Java, Linux, Splunk, Azure, Hadoop, administration, and Agile. Now, depending upon your job role, one would know whether you need a Splunk, Hadoop, and AC 304. So that I will be able to understand only if I know you better. So I'm an advisor and career counselor. I need to know which region you're based out of, what your overall experience is. Are you in IT or non-IT? If you're in IT, what kind of tools or technologies have been working all these years? What's your package per annum? What is your expectation? What is your designation currently? So based on multiple factors, only then I can guide you into the right program. So let's go ahead with one last program that I want to guide you. This is the one. Advanced Certification in Cloud Computing and DevOps. So this is in collaboration with IIT for people who are, in IIT. Who don't know about IIT. IIT is Indian Institute of Technology. So we have collaborated directly with them. So they have put up a program called Advanced Certification in Cloud Computing and DevOps. So 40% of the content is taken by IT professors who are going to make sure that your fundamentals are very strong, which is very, very important, fundamentals. 60% of the content is taken by working professionals who are working for top tier MNCs with 15 plus years of experience in IT. So they're going to train you. So this is a 7 months comprehensive program. 8th month, we are going to prepare you for the interview with one-on-one interview, mock interview sessions. 9th month, we are going to guarantee you bare minimum of 3, maximum 5 job interview schedules in whichever city you're based out of. So this is a job interview guaranteed program, guys. So once you complete the program, you can land in either of these roles as a cloud architect or a DevOps architect if you're from a programming background, senior DevOps engineer if you're from programming background, AWS DevOps architect, non-programming, cloud engineer, non-programming, cloud and DevOps engineer, semi-programming. So these are all the roles that you will be landing yourself or landing a career into. Now, these are the list of modules that's going to be covered comprehensively in the 7 months of duration. So if you see here, these are all the tools which is realistically required for one to land a job. Certain part of Python, Linux, DevOps tools, AWS Cloud, OpenStack, Azure, Cloud Security, fault tolerance, AWS DevOps, load balancing, virtualization, parallel computing, Azure Design, Architect, and Technologies, just to name a few. So how much can a fresher make, Santosh? If you do a multi-cloud program, as a fresher, you will be landing a package nothing less than 5 lakh per annum. You can easily expect 5 lakh and above. And again, don't be surprised, Santosh, if you're offered even 7 lakhs. That totally depends upon how well an individual performs in the interview. So if you perform exceptionally well, don't be surprised even if you're offered directly 7. I'm being very realistic because that's what cloud has the potential to offer. Now, these are the projects, guys, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So what is the difference between this program and this program? Now, this program is in collaboration with IBM and Microsoft. We don't guarantee any job interviews, but we provide job assistance. This is a lifetime access. But this program, one has to have minimum 10 plus 2 plus 3 or 10 plus 3. you should have a graduation or a diploma in order to get into this program. And this program, you should have 70% of attendance, mandatory minimum. You should submit the exercises and assignments on time, which will be evaluated. Only then you get to know what are the areas you need to improve, what are the areas you are lacking. 8th month, we are going to prepare you for the interview, one-on-one mock interview sessions. And 9th month, we are going to guarantee a bare minimum of 3, maximum 5 interviews, guaranteed. So this is a guaranteed interview, whether you're in the US or UK or Canada, India, wherever you have work permit, we are going to guarantee a bare minimum of 3, maximum 5 interview schedules. So I have an experience about 12 years, like VMware professional. Can I go to this platform and expect a salary? So if you're from VMware, I'm not surprised. Many people who are from VMware are moving to cloud. You can definitely get into cloud, and your salary expectation is whatever salary you're making currently, a minimum of 30 to 40% hike you can expect. I don't know how much you're making, whether it's 12, 15, 20, whatever you're making, how many years of experience you have. From that, you can easily expect 30 to 40% hike mark. So this particular program, 75,000 plus GST, comes up to 85,000 rupees, because this is quite expensive, because we are guaranteeing you the result. Only for the first batch, which is commencing on 14th of August, gets this particular price, guys. September batch onwards, the price is going to be 1,75,000 because of the subsidy given by the Ministry of Education in India. That is the reason you're getting such a huge discount only for the first batch. If you're in India, you can also opt for no cost EMI. Any short program. So this is a short program, Santosh. This is a 5-month program. If you do 2 courses simultaneously, you can complete it in 3 months itself. So this is a short program. But this, if you're looking for some guaranteed interview, job guaranteed, just take a back seat. Make sure that you have 70% of attendance, attend the classes, complete the assignments, which will be evaluated. If you're looking for some guaranteed program, this is the one, guys. So you know where you stand, which program is the right fit for you. I've explained both of these. So this particular program, I can extend you a final price of 75,000, including GST. Instead of excluding GST, I can give it to you at a final price of including GST. Out of 40 seats, we already have 33 seats booked. I just have last 7 seats available at this particular price. So if you miss out on this batch, the cost is going to be 1,75,000, guys. So it's up to you which one you want to avail. So these are my WhatsApp numbers. So in order to know more, if you have any questions, I'll be the right guy to discuss. Drop me a WhatsApp message, either of my WhatsApp email, WhatsApp numbers, US or India. Let's have one-on-one, and let's proceed further. So I thank each and everyone for your time today. I hope the presentation and the webinar was useful and informative. And I wish each and everyone a good luck ahead. And I'll